The other day I talked about Republicans just passing the budget again with no real spending cuts. And I said, Americans won't vote for significant spending cuts because it means that your pocketbook will be affected. If you're a beneficiary of Social Security, pretty much gone, or at least reformed to the point where nearly 90% of people who get it today won't get it anymore. That's what it takes for us to cut our budget down and start paying off this debt and to get out of it. And that's why I said it probably won't happen. We're going to have to debase and then start over. But I said Americans won't do it yet. And Argentina is a good example of this. And if you haven't followed, I'm sure you know, they just elected a new president. And I don't trust all politicians. So I don't go, hey, this person's going to save us from ourselves. But what I think is encouraging, I'm going to show you this video that I think is kind of funny because this guy is pretty legit if he's telling the truth. Number one, he looks like a Jim Henson kind of Ebenezer Scrooge type character with his haircut. It's hilarious. But if he means what he's saying, I mean, this guy's pretty legit. He's libertarian, which is pretty wild for people to vote in a libertarian. But the pain in Argentina is bad, is very bad. 200+% inflation. It's very hard to run an economy like that. You're thumbing out. There's plenty of documentaries online about this. You're thumbing out 10,000 Argentinian pesos for an egg, stuff like that. It's wild. It's just going up. And the amoeba, the growth that is government, is incessant, and they have to keep spending more money. And the people finally put the tail on the donkey and they realize, oh, wait a second. It's not us and it's not businesses that are just coordinating to raise prices. It's the central bank. And Javier Malay calls these people out, and he's just hilarious. This guy's like my spirit animal when it comes to politics. But let's listen to this short 1-minute clip on who this guy is.
Turismo y deporte, afuera. Ministerio de Cultura, afuera. Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad.
Al zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
Pero ¿me podés definir zurdo de mierda? Que no
todos los que, digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea. A ver,
¿por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda. ¿En qué locura estamos viviendo? La locura de la corrección política estúpida, donde básicamente, no, si ustedes no recitan el socialismo cool, si ustedes no son woke, entonces son violentos, son un peligro para la democracia. Vamos, muchachos.
Seguro.
Sigamos con estas estupideces y en lugar de ser 140, vamos a hacer la Villa Miseria más grande del mundo.
I mean, like, that guy kind of echoes everything I agree with when it comes to government spending. And I just love he's thinking those things off the whiteboard. Afuera. But government will grow incessantly. I keep telling people this. It's not designed, and the people in government, and I've worked in government before, I get it. There's just, hey, you know what we should do? We should develop a parks department or a sanitation department. And that involves just a couple of garbage men or a couple of these people. But somehow we need to have 7 layers of middle management. And then we're creating jobs. Government will create digging holes and filling them back in to call it a jobs program. And it will always be like that. It will always be like that because the government wants to grow. People are, you and me too, are inherently lazy and they want something for nothing. But it is changing the incentives, because if the check and balance on government in what he's suggesting to do is dollarize the economy and then put, back some of the economy with things like Bitcoin and gold, etc. Because if the incentive in government is to grow, and it will always be that way, it's not these specific type of people who want that. It's all governments want to do this. Then you need a check and balance, and that check and balance is taxes. Because the way the government's able to grow incessantly, like this cancer on society, and take more and more society, is the printer. Because your W-2 doesn't say, hey guys, we're going to fund this war for 20 years. And nobody cared in the United States. Nobody cared. I mean, I'm sure some people did. But the reason you didn't is it didn't debit your W-2. It didn't say minus $1,000 Afghanistan war. You would want a lot more accountability if the balance sheet, you saw it and you said, hey, wait a second. You're taking this much money. I'd like to know what you're doing with it. It's going to this. I'd like to know what you're doing with it. And when the government has to make priority decisions, meaning they have, for ease of figuring, $1,000, and they have to decide, do I do this with $1,000 or this with $1,000? I cannot do both. Because today what they do is, I have $1,000 in taxes and I have $2,000 of priorities. We'll print the difference. It's not debited from your taxes. And they've never had to make those priority decisions. And I think, all I can say, I mean, the good news, and we'll see what Javier Malay does. But when it gets bad enough, and this should give you hope for the future here in the United States, because I do think people are waking up. Because there's always going to be the 1-2% that are just radical, whatever, communist, socialist, what have you. But your average person who's not very political, which I respect those people, they're working hard, etc. They do think about their own pocketbook. And if these programs, these socialist light programs or socialism in the United States start failing, like Social Security, they're going to start asking questions. They don't really care about your political pontifications. If gas is $5 a gallon, if milk is $4 a gallon, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They don't care about that. They care that they can't afford to live. And I think those days are coming in America. Those kind of, we need to change the system, because if you follow me and you follow anybody else online, and anybody who doesn't understand the economics of it, but can at least prescribe the problem, they can say things like, hey, millennials can't afford housing. Healthcare is too expensive. Food's too expensive. They're figuring out all these things are happening kind of all at the same time. They're realizing it has to be fixed. And here's the thing. The government's going to come in and give them an answer of how it will be fixed, and they won't be able to fix it. And then it'll get bad enough, and then they'll want to change it. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.